3, 2, 1. And we have ignition. OA-8 mission to the ISS. Got engines at full power. Attitude and TVC are nominal.
Core pressures are nominal.
Liftoff confirmed. Antares and the SS Gene Cernan now bound for the International Space Station.
The Cygnus cargo spacecraft now en route to the space station following this morning's successful launch from NASA's Wallops Flight Facility in Virginia at 7:19 a.m. I'm Tabitha Thompson with NASA's Office of Communications. I have with me Dan Hartman with the International Space Station Program, Frank DeMauro, who is Vice President and General Manager of Orbital ATK Advanced Programs Division, and in the center, Kurt Eberly, who is the Antares Deputy Program Manager with Orbital ATK. We're going to start with Dan.
Thank you, Tabitha. Beautiful morning, beautiful launch. It was great to put a rumble in the air here and get Cygnus off the ground, and it's on its way to the International Space Station. It was just a miraculous launch and a flawless countdown, and these gentlemen will talk a lot more about that, but I would like to congratulate the Orbital ATK team and all the folks here at the center that put this show on this morning for everybody. Again, it's just great to have that spacecraft heading toward the International Space Station. The onboard crew was able to watch the launch live. We were able to hook that up through the Mission Control Center in Houston, and so they enjoyed the show. Presently, they're fully trained. The spacecraft will arrive on Tuesday morning at about 3:50 a.m. Houston time, where Apollo will use the SSRMS and berth it and bring it into our Node 1 Nadir location. Crew's really rested, ready to go. They'll have a busy time in front of them for the next 3 weeks as we unpack all the cargo, about 7,400 pounds of cargo, and then turn that back around and repack it full of disposable items, which is very key to keeping the flexibility and the operations on board the International Space Station at full tilt. And plan to keep it there till December 3rd, when then we'll do a maneuver and do a test with the Cygnus vehicle, and then finally on its release on December 4th. And so, again, it was a great mission. Start today. We're anxious to get Cygnus on board the International Space Station, and again, just a hearty congratulations to the team that pulled it off this morning.
And
okay, thank you, Dan. I'm really excited to be here after a really good launch today. But first, I'd like to point out and rewind to yesterday after we aborted, unfortunately, for a aircraft in the hazard area. We initiated our abort processing and detanked the rocket, and it was a good exercise of what we've been planning for, which is the ability to count down very deep into the count, really up to L0, and then be able to turn around and launch again the next day. So I'd really like to thank our spaceport operator, the Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport, which is run by Virginia Space. They just scrambled yesterday. They brought in tankers of liquid oxygen to top up the storage tank, because we always boil off a little bit when we do an attempt. They repressurized the nitrogen. And then we had our Antares team come in, the second shift crew. They safed the vehicle after detanking it. There's a few configuration items we have to go back through, put desiccant plugs back into the tanks and so on, and get ready for the next attempt, and that was all done very well. So really thanks to everybody for all the support and enabling us to demonstrate that rapid recycle for the next day. Compared to yesterday, today was very boring, and that's how we like it. The more boring, the better. Can't be boring enough. So we just stepped right down through the countdown. Really had very few issues. The only issue we had was one of the main engines. We chill down the engine with liquid oxygen. As soon as we load liquid oxygen into the tank, it starts trickling down into the engine pumps and starting to chill them down. And we had one that that initially the preburner gets loaded with liquid oxygen, and then it warms up, and that liquid oxygen boils off and escapes. And that just didn't happen fast enough. We initiated, you may have heard steps called Tango 1 that the launch conductor was calling it. That was to initiate a special nitrogen purge that we added to try to accelerate that process. And it was just taking a little longer today than anticipated. So actually we decided we were going to push to the end of the window. Anyway, that turned out fortuitous. It gave the range some more time to clear out some boats that were trending towards the hazard area. And then there was also a report of one aircraft south of the hazard area that didn't end up actually making it far enough into the hazard area. So along that lines, just for everyone who's listening, would just like to encourage everyone to just listen to the range authorities, pay attention to the notice to airmen, the notice to mariners that they put out weeks in advance of each launch, and ask for everyone's cooperation to just to follow the direction of the range crew and the troopers that keep everybody safe and out of the hazard area, and we'll be able to put off a good launch. Okay, and then we launched, and the first stage worked very well, very little steering commands, so it was right on the money. We then transitioned the telemetry down to Bermuda. We ignited the second stage. That all looked really good. Overall performance was a little high, which is really good. We try to be conservative in our estimates. So, we were targeting about 190 by 290 degrees. 190 kilometers by 290 kilometers, and we ended up at 200 by 333 kilometers. And that's inclined right on the money at 51.636 degrees. And so looking at the statistics, that's about 1.5 sigma high when we do our Monte Carlo analyses on the orbit trajectory. So that all looked really good. And then the other parameter we target is the right ascension of ascending node of the orbit to make sure that we're aligned with the ISS orbit, and that was within 1 sigma. So overall looked like a really good flight, and very exciting, very happy, and Frank, it's over to you for the rest of the mission.